Dreamhack Montreal. We'll have the grand finals playing in the background here as we talk about it. What a tournament, man. Holy hell. That was some of the closest Rocket League I think we've seen ever on a day 3 of an event. Like, obviously, like, I still think that the greatest series of all time, you know, is the grand finals of London. But outside of that, though, like, every series in this was just crazy. I think Liquipedia or Liquid Rocket League thing. I can't remember what the actual thing is called. What is it called? Isn't it just a Liquipedia Rocket League or something? I'll put up a thing for the overtimes of like how much time was on stream. Here we go. Let me see what I can find here. It was nuts. It was like over 2 hours, right? 2 hours, 23 minutes, and 20 seconds. And that was just on the A and B stream. 67 overtimes. It was a crazy tournament. We'll go through the results for the teams, and we'll kind of go through the days as well. Obviously, DreamHacks for us, like I think as talent and as like casters or whatever, it was a lot of fun. It's super long, as always. Like we were, like 9.5 hour streams for Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday was a little bit less, but it actually went really, really long. That there is always the issue that we could be too long on day 3 because they closed down the venue and all that stuff earlier. We were the last ones left, like every other event. We had Rainbow Six right next to us, and StarCraft was somewhere else as well, but those both ended a lot earlier than ours. But we were getting close to the end of the venue time, I believe. So it was a little bit hairy, but that's probably why it's good that we have at least best of 5 in the quarterfinals. But it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing the Fireburner skit. Like, I think it could have probably been better, but I'm always going to be overcritical. Like, it was for fun, so it didn't really matter. But that was a good time. Just joking around with the boys. Having Dread and Turtle up there, it's been fantastic over the last, what was it, the last 3 Dream Hacks. It's been the 3 of us up there pretty much the entire time. And that was great. Nose Dude also did great when he came in. So that was very exciting. I remember the Gnarly cast. It was like Gnarly 2. The casting seemed a little bit harder for him, but like on the desk, man, he did amazing. Now getting over to the games. Obviously, all the player interviews, the coaches. That was really cool to get some coach insight. And just having coaches on stage, I think, is just a cool look. It also helps for the hype factor on goals and stuff for teams. For teams that need it. Unlike Vitality, where Scrub Killer, I swear to God, man, I don't know how he's going to survive to he's 18 if he's going to keep going like this with every single goal. He's going to have a heart attack. I swear, man. It's insane. But it was definitely a blast. Peeps obviously put on a show. So let's go over it. Let's go over the top teams, and we'll make our way down. Let's start in NA. We'll talk about the teams in like order almost. So Peeps, obviously, an absolute huge win for them. They went 6-2 on the whole weekend, or 7-2. I'm sorry, on the whole weekend. They actually had 2 early losses, but they bounced back from those losses. Obviously, losing to Dignitas and G2, but both of those were in 5 games, so it's not like they were getting smacked around early on. They beat the teams that they needed to beat. And then day 3, man, it was Peeps. Like, Peeps were just looking amazing. It was a little bit of, so I don't know if it's going to be replicatable the way they were playing. Because it was a lot of crazy defense. And sometimes some fortunate bounces, but they have to clean up on the defensive side a little bit more. It was a little bit maybe too desperate at times. But when they had their offensive chances, they were clean. Like this one by Redo is just super clean. And they just got to take advantage of what they get, and they did that. And that's like what a good Rocket League team is going to do, right? You got to take advantage when you have the opportunities, and Peeps were doing that all weekend, or at least all on day 3. And yeah, super solid from them. Like, I expect them to fall back down a little bit. I don't expect them to dominate or anything like that. No one's dominating right now anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But I think they will challenge for a World Championship spot. I wouldn't give it to them right now, as like they will definitely make the World Championship. I think, you know, you have to talk about the big 3, and that they will very likely make it. But it comes down to, playoff time. Who knows? Like if a G2 is third place and they have to play a Peeps roster, you just never know. I expect Peeps to be in the playoffs and to be a contender. I just don't know, exactly where it's going to go. And who knows? Maybe they ride this hot hand. Maybe week 1 they get 2 big 3 matchups and they go 2-0 or something like that, Like one good week like that versus the big 3. And maybe they're a top 2 seed and they make it in. See, these last 2 goals by the Peeps were just nutty. Like missed, just a random 50-50 that goes in. And then this Riddle shot is skillful, but those are hard shots. So well done by him. We're going to talk about this 0-second play because I was so mad about this 0-second play by the Peeps when it comes down to it. But Peeps, huge performance from them. Moving on to G2. G2 looked amazing all weekend. Like this series was probably the one where they had the most mistakes that we saw. But I think, you have to credit the Peeps at least some of that. But G2 looked great. Like I had them win the whole tournament on day 3. And I was super, super close to getting that right. All right. Let's talk about this 0-second play, and let's talk about clock management here. Ready? It's going on the back wall. For some reason, Gyro, he chases this down. Probably doesn't need to, but whatever. He rotates out. Missed right here. He's on the back wall. Reynolds, you have a teammate on the back wall. You don't have a shot at all. He doesn't even really have a chance to kill that ball all that well. Like I think he was trying to hit it off the curve and just doesn't do it. All he does is smack it off the back wall, and it turns it into a 2v1. Like, that play right there, I was like, oh, man, it's over. Like, if you give G2 a free win, you're probably done. But nope, but the Peeps bounce back anyway. The Peeps bounce back. G2, incredibly strong. That Energy series could have went either way. It was a lot of fun to watch that one. I really like what G2's doing right now. This is probably the most I've liked G2 in their history. Normally when they, have their 6-1 seasons, I'm still a little bit of a doubter. But lately, G2 has just been on fire. And honestly, they might be favorites to win the World Championship right now. Like, if I had to choose a team, I might be saying G2 right now. That they're looking extremely strong. Like, obviously, they got to finish off a final. But I think they're looking really, really strong. Next up, let's go down to NRG. Another solid showing from them. They were the most consistent team over this entire year in DreamHacks. The best average finish across the board. And obviously they've changed rosters. I think Turbo is going to do great things with them. He's been scrimming with them from Europe. So now when he eventually moves in with Garrett, it's going to be probably like even scarier. It just comes down to like Turbo's never been one to play a ton. Like when they were on Dignitas and their scrims and stuff and their playtime was always a little bit lower. So it just comes down to, does Turbo influence Garrett where they play maybe a little bit less than they should, or does Garrett influence Turbo to get him to play even more? And if that happens, then watch out. Energy could be doing wonders, but I do think they're extremely strong. The Cloud9, another only top 8 finish. It seemed like this year DreamHacks were not kind to them. What was it? 3 DreamHacks where they only finished top 8, or 2 of them, I think. But Cloud9, they're still a very strong team. It's just, can they keep up now with the new roster moves? Like G2 bringing in Chicago. It seems like they keep improving. Energy bringing in Turbo. I think they can. It's just, I don't know. It's hard. Like, I want to see them throughout a league play because we haven't got to see them a lot. At the last DreamHack, we only saw them once. And then this DreamHack, we saw them a couple times, but I don't know. I'm not sure where I sit with Cloud9 right now. Like, I do think that they are still at least in the big 3. Like, I would put them above the Peeps still, just because I want to see the Peeps kind of replicate the success first. But I think Cloud9 has got some things to work out because their results haven't been up to what they normally do as like a top 4 team always. They're still incredibly consistent and they always make day 3s, but I think they want a little bit more right now. So that's it for the top of NA. I think we could also talk about Rogue. I think Rogue, honestly, it's starting to look like maybe it was a little bit of a fluke. It could possibly be where they barely make the playoffs. They have basically 3 good weeks, right? World Championship, the end of league play, and the regional playoffs. And we haven't seen it. We haven't seen it since then. Like, I guess Beyond the Summit wasn't a terrible showing, but I don't know, man. Like, I don't like what I'm seeing from them. They finished in 13th place here. They lost to Lotus. Who else did they lose to on day 2? I think they lost to Mouse in a close series in 5. So that's not saying that Rogue can't do it. I don't know, man. It's the off season again. Maybe Rogue is just baiting me in to not believe in them, and then they'll show up for the RLCS, but I haven't liked the results. I haven't liked it. We'll see what they do. Like, I think obviously they're still a contender, and I think they will be playoffs going into NA for league play. And then who knows what happens, but I don't know, man. Like, I would say out of all players on the chopping block, possibly for a roster move after the season, say a team fails, like, I really think Wonder is one of those players where when he pops off, Rogue looks great. It's just he doesn't do it all the time. And when he's looking a little bit slower on the field, then it's harder for Rogue to pick up those pieces, and I just don't know. I think that Beyond the Summit crew battle, like, even though that was for fun, like, he got last pick. And I think there is a reason behind that of, like, his peers think he is 24th best out of those players, right? So, like, if Rogue wants to improve, if they have a bad season, I think Wonder would be that one on the chopping block. I think you go back to that storyline of should have they kicked Rogue, or I'm sorry, Prime Thunder, or Wonder. And last season it worked out, obviously. And who knows, like, Prime Thunder really hasn't done any damage since then. But you kind of go back to that storyline of maybe they should have kicked Wonder. Who knows? I don't know. They obviously have a top 4 finish, so probably not. But, like, if they want to improve, maybe it will be time after the season. Now, Wonder could change it all around, have a really good, consistent season, and we won't have to worry about that because, obviously, he is now full-time Rocket League, and that began towards the end of last season. So he could still improve more, but I don't know. I just haven't seen it yet from him. Moving on, we'll continue with NA. Trying to think who else. So we have Space Station Gaming, not a great result. The one thing I don't like about Space Station Gaming, it seems like they can't bounce back when they lose a series. They lost to Cloud9 on day 2, then they lose to Plot Twist, a team they should beat. Plot Twist is a good team, but it's a team they should beat that they haven't been able to bounce back. It's been something that's happened at multiple Dreamhacks. So I worry a little bit about Space Station. It was the same thing in the playoffs of RLCS, where they couldn't bounce back after a loss. So we'll see what they do. It's a talented bunch. And again, I think they're challenging for a top 4 spot, but they have to find ways to win after losing a series because it just hasn't been working. All right. Moving on. Ghost Gaming. I don't know. I'm not sold on Ghost. One thing I don't like is when, like, in my mind, when I see a bad series where a team wins anyway, obviously, like, one of the two teams have to win, and they come up for an interview and they're like, we did what we wanted to do there. Now, obviously, like, I'm going to have a different opinion than some people, but when that happens, I don't like that. That's happened when Ghost played, who'd they play? What was it? I'm trying to think. Ghost, where are you? Did they lose on day 1? No, they made it through, right? Hold on. Yeah, they made it through. Oh, yeah, it was Ghost Barcelona, I think. Where I'm trying to see where the hell they are. I can't find them on day 2 for some reason. Oh, there we go. Versus Vitality. Yeah, like, I thought Ghost Barcelona wasn't that pretty. And they were like, oh, yeah, we're doing exactly what we want to do. And I don't know. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It was versus RBG. That was that series where they come into the interview like, oh, we're playing our game and we're playing well. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I just didn't think that series was very quality. Now, obviously, we didn't see all their series, and they had a lot of off-stream games that were close. Cloud9, they should have won that series, is what people were saying on the B stream. So they can keep it close. To me, the Ghost Gaming is very similar to TSM in Europe, where they play defense first, they keep series close, but then they just can't clean them up, right? Like, they don't have that offense to clean it up, and I feel like it's very similar. Like, I think like Ghost Gaming is a worse TSM, in my opinion. But again, we didn't get to see them versus Cloud9, but the 3 games that they lost, they scored 1 goal. And I don't think there's enough offense on that team right now. Like, I would probably have them 7th right now going into RLCS League play. But they always surprise, and they always at least make top 6. So who knows? We'll see what happens. But that was the last of NA. I was probably not most disappointed by Ghost. I would say most disappointed by Space Station. But, yeah, Plot Twist was the only Rival Series team to make it to day 2 for North America, and they're looking really strong, looking like early favorites to make it to the promotion tournament. There's obviously playoffs now, so top 4, it's like you expect to see Plot Twist in there, but I do expect to see them in the promotion tournament probably. And then the other teams are like Paradox, playing with Mystic. It was Karma, J-Wiz, and Mystic. And I don't know. I just haven't seen a lot coming out of that Splice roster for a while. Now, obviously, they're playing with Shadow for the Rival Series, but I'm not expecting much from them. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens there. Moving on, we'll talk about 1NE real quick. We'll talk about the other regions, and then we'll go back to Europe. 1NE, it was just so cool to see them at the event. They were so excited, just meeting everybody and having a good time. And that's what you want to see. They obviously had a tough bracket. Mouse and then TSM, that they didn't win a game. But it was just fun to see them on the field and see them be so excited. Hopefully, they can bring back what they learned here and just keep improving. And hopefully, eventually, we get an Asian region coming into the RLCS. Dr. Dan, thank you for the Twitch Prime sub. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, it was just really cool to see them. And they were loving it. They were having a blast. On the other side as well, Lotus, also. What a story by them, man. Almost making day 3. Just pushing through. They took down Rogue. They were so excited to be up there. When they beat Bullsend, and for the player interviews by Firefox, he, after the interviews, was just wanted hugs from all 3 of us. It was awesome. It was just so cool to see them. He was so excited to be there, hitting some crazy goals, beating Bullsend, beating Rogue. Huge wins by them. They also beat Afterthought, was it? Yeah, 3-0 Afterthought, which is a team that could challenge for a promotion spot in the Rival Series. So, well done by them. Almost made money. Almost. It was so close. But, I think they were there to just experience it. And they lost to Energy on day 2. And they lost to Dignitas. Not a bad way to go out for them. So, really excited to see what comes out of South America going into the World Championship. Because a lot of people were saying, Lotus was the 4th best team, right? Last season. They bring in a player that got kicked from a roster. So, who knows? Maybe they're not the best. Maybe they were only the best on the qualifier weekend. And we could see even better teams coming out. Who knows? But with all this experience from Dreamhack, it should help them a lot. And I'm just excited to see South America again for the World Championship. On the other side, we have OCE. Chiefs honestly just got unlucky a bit here. They 3-0'd Paradox, which is a good result, beating Splice. And then they ran into Energy and TSM. So a little bit tough. But at the end of the day, right? If Chiefs want to make day 3, that they have to beat a team like TSM. But, day 1 exit is probably a little bit... On paper, it looks terrible, but obviously who they played, it's not the end of the world. But the Chiefs fall there. They got 3-0'd by Energy and 3-1 by TSM. And we're still in this area of OC, Ground Zero Gaming as well. They fell on day 1, but that one was not as surprising because I felt like Ground Zero, they basically did a trade with the Renegades and got the worst player out of the deal, so it looked like they got worse. They lost to the Peeps on day 1 to lose out, which obviously the Peeps won the whole thing, so who knows what could happen there. But OC in general, it's not been a good year. There's no sugarcoating that. It's been a terrible year. Every tournament that they've been invited to win prize money, they've come in last. And then every DreamHack Open, they've never made money. Then you have Drip A moving over to NA and then getting down into the rival series or getting relegated out. And now he's moved back to OCE. Like, it's not been pretty. There's no sugarcoating that. We'll see what they do with Drip A probably going to the Chiefs this season. We'll see if that changes anything. Like, it was cool to see Hawk giving him a chance to perform on a big stage was pretty cool. But OC, you know, I think they are trying to salvage their 2019 at this World Championship, and we'll see if that happens. But it's going to be a tough task for sure. Moving on to Europe. Let's see what we got for Europe. We'll start at the top and we'll work our way down. Vitality looked really, really strong. Still, they obviously ran into a Peeps. They were also just, you know, on their magical run. It looks like Vitality is one of those only teams right now that are like a true threat, I would say, for a title. Them and Reciprocity. That series with Reciprocity was insane on day 2. And obviously, Reciprocity got a little bit unlucky there, but also they lost to TSM to put themselves in that spot. So, but Vitality looks strong. Like, I wouldn't be too worried about Vitality going into league play season. I think they're still the top dogs for Europe to come out as the number 1 seed, or number 2 at least. I wouldn't worry too much about them. Mouse Sports has been a team that just continues to put up results. And they're definitely a huge threat for a top 4. Maybe even top 2. Who knows? Like, if they can continue this trend. But they did choke a little bit in that game 5, I felt like, versus Peeps. But hey, man, it happens. Like, Peeps were playing really well. And Mouse Sports, going into the season, you wouldn't think it, right? We have the 2 teams from the promotion playoffs just combining. And you wouldn't think that they would look so good. It was the same with the Peeps, too. But the Peeps, you know, it was the 2 teams that made it through. But they're looking really, really strong. A top 4 finish would not be surprising in Europe right now. Yeah, looking solid. GCR, it was really cool to see them make their magical run. They're not even a team for the rival series, but who is it? I think it's Tigray, Extra, and iGnite are teaming up for the play-in, so that could be a real threat for a promotional playoff spot. So we'll see how they do. Hopefully it wasn't a one-hit wonder there. Dignitas, they also look really strong. I think there's still some work to do, but so right now they look like a better TSM, where they have like 1 star player in Astral, and Astral versus Alpha, and then it's about how do you play around him, right? Or how do you also do some work. On TSM's side, Remco and Metanoris looked like they weren't doing anything half of the time, which was not a good look. And also, that was another interview that I did not like at all, was when Metanoris came up and he's like, I'm just going to play support for Alpha. And I'm like, no, you were the reason why TSM almost made it to the World Championship with his offense last season. Continue to do that. So I'm a little worried that if they just sit back and let Alpha do everything, they're not going to get anything done. On the other side, with Dignitas, I felt like Violent Panda was still doing a decent amount of work. Yukio got involved late with some like quality passes and all that. So I think Dignitas is in a better spot right now. We'll see if TSM makes up for it. I think Violent Panda has made a great pickup in Astral. No one was looking at him, and he picks him up, and he's been doing wonders. Now it just comes down to that mental attitude. One thing I didn't like was when Dignitas lost in the quarters. Everyone stands up and giving high fives, and Astral, he's still sitting down. Like things like that, small things like that, I worry about with the mentality of some players. And Astral has had that before, where you worry about him just being toxic and ranked, or just kind of shutting down, and like when they're losing a series for Dignitas. So you just want to see if Astral can get over that. But that's the one main concern. Moving on. We talked about TSM and Dignitas. Reciprocity, not the greatest result, mostly from that TSM match. I think the problem is if Shawset gets shut down by anyone, it's going to be very hard for Reciprocity. So hopefully that they can get Farah and Fruity more involved. I felt like Fruity had some big moments. Farah was relatively quiet. Shawset got shut down a bit. They'll be fine. Like, I think they'll probably still be a top 4 team going into Europe. It's just those games where Shawset's not on fire, you just have to have other people picking up the pieces. So we'll see how they do. Lotus, we talked about them. Plot twist, okay. Complexity, 13th place from them. I think they'll be fine. I'm not incredibly worried. They lost to Rogue on day 1. And then who'd they lose on day 2? They lost to Reciprocity in 5 games. That was the 5 overtimes. And who else did they lose to? And GC Aura, which is not a great result, obviously, but from GC Aura. But actually, I don't think they scored a goal. Did they? Oh, no, they did. They scored 2 goals. Complexity, I think it is in a good spot right now. We'll see if, their chemistry is hurt a little bit because of the whole Flakes controversy, but I think they'll be fine. And I think they will be one of those challengers. They'll be in the playoffs at least. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Kira with the host. Thank you. Hope you had a good stream. Welcome, everybody. We're just sitting here talking about some Dreamhack. I'm not incredibly worried about Complexity. Obviously, Europe is going to be a very contested region. So if you have one bad week in league play, who knows what could happen. But I think Complexity is going to be one of those teams challenging for a top 4 spot. I think right now you have Reciprocity's, the Rec Pack. Let's just call them that. Vitality, and then Dig, Mouse Sports, and Complexity for me are those next ones that are going to be challenging for that. Control 246, thank you, buddy, for the sub. Welcome to the Potato Army. Thank you so much. I think it's going to be very, very tight. I do think the Rec Pack and Vitality will make it through. After that, honestly, I have no idea. No idea. You got Mouse Sports, you have Dig, you have a TSM, if they can figure it out, who I thought on paper looked great, but then without any offense from Metsinoris, I'm a little worried. And Complexity, I think, are incredible challengers for those spots. I'm trying to think who the last year. Oh, and then Barcelona. I do think Barcelona is probably number 7, but they just became a team. They still have a chance to click, but obviously their result was not great, losing out on day 1 to Ghost Gaming to lose out. Now, obviously, their bracket didn't play them any favors, but still, Barcelona, they have to figure it out. But right now, they're looking like the 7th best team, maybe 8th, depending on how Veloce plays. So we'll see if they can pick up those pieces. But I really do think that Barcelona, the only reason why they were at Worlds probably was because of Alpha. Alpha, he really stepped up big time when they needed him. So they got to they have to find someone else to pick up those pieces. Once in a while it's Devo, but it's not enough. So we'll see. Let's see. Who else do we have? I think that's about it. Talked about all the regions. The other thing I worry about, now this is a very, very small gripe, is I'm going to go all the way to the end of this. We'll go, I don't know where it ends. We'll go over here. I'm trying to find the celebration. My only worry with the peeps is Reddles. It's my only worry. He plays absolutely amazing. I'm just worried that kid's maybe a little bit too cocky. That's the only thing I worry about. I don't mind calling out we're going to win the RLCS. The only thing I don't like, and this is a very small gripe, and I could be overthinking this, but let's see, is when they win, when we get there, it's a very small gripe, but just something to keep in mind. We'll see it here. Is the team celebrates. Look at this. The team celebrates all together, but Reddles wants to stand on the chair and wants to stand on the desk. He wants to celebrate by himself. That's my only worry. My only worry with them is Reddles wants the spotlight maybe too much, but who knows? I don't know. But that's a very, very small grip. But yeah, the Peeps, huge win for them. Absolutely crazy tournament. And yeah, I'm just excited to see what happens. Like, now with like the RLCS, this is the perfect way to go into the RLCS, right? We have 8 different winners. No one knows what the hell's going to happen. Like, I feel like Europe's wide open. NA has turned probably the most wide open it's ever been, where like, all right, the Peeps just won a tournament. That's someone outside the big 3. We've never even seen a team outside the big 3 make a grand finals before. So who knows? Maybe the Peeps make some noise. Maybe Space Station, finds a way. It seems like the most wide open we've ever had it for North America. And then, like, South America, like, had a big performance. Who knows? Maybe they come into the World Championship looking stronger. And then it's like, all right, OCE, you have Drip A back. Can they do some damage? Like, I think this season for the RLCS is going to be incredibly interesting. And I just can't wait for it, man. We got, 1 month until we start? And it's going to be exciting. But that's going to do it for the DreamHack recap. If you guys have any questions real quick, we'll get to them. And then we'll go forward with some more games or something like that. But if you have any questions, feel free to throw them out. We'll find out if it's a problem when they face adversity. Yeah, that's the only thing I worry about with the Peeps, with Reddles, maybe. But I think he'll be fine. Like, I think, I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's just some small thing that I'm like, celebrate with your team first. That's all. Let's see. I like the interview from Reddles, but where like, hey man, like we're here to win it all. I love that. Like he probably just wanted to be like, I really want to stand on this desk, and they had time to think about it. So I will give him that. Where it's like we're up 4-0. What am I gonna do to celebrate? That's fine. It's fine. And I'm just like a little bit worried. Very, very small. Peeps org prediction. I'm not going to give you a prediction because I've heard rumors or facts, maybe. I'm not really sure. So I'm not going to give a prediction there. But they will be picked up. Like Reddle said on Twitter that they will be picked up. So. What do I think about Rogue? I talked about Rogue a little bit. I'm not sold on them. Like I've never really been sold on them, except at the World Championship when they were making a run. I worry about Wonder a bit, but we'll see. They've surprised me before, but this offseason hasn't been pretty either. It's prettier than last offseason, and they made it to the World Championship. But I don't know. Right now, if I had to predict, like if you had a gun to my head, I would say Rogue is not a World Championship team. The River Rats confirmed. There you go. The Peeps being picked up by the Randy Gibbons River Rats. Oh, man. What do you think about Peeps having lost 2 games in a double elim and winning the tournament, G2 losing 1 and taking second place? I don't mind that. It is just part of the format, right? Like, I actually love this format. Like, I think it's pretty cool. The only thing that's bad about this format is sometimes teams get a little unlucky because if like a favorite loses early, then they have to play them. Like the Chiefs, got a little bit unlucky. Maybe Cloud9 got a little bit unlucky playing a Vitality, but for the most part, like I don't mind that, it all comes down to day 3 where everything resets. Like it's fine for me. That doesn't bother me. Like it's very similar to a league play into a World Championship, right? Where a team goes 5-2, but they could be out and not even at the World Championship if they have a bad performance in the playoffs. Like I don't mind it. Like I like when it comes down to, like everything's on the line. So, but I do really like this format. Gibbs, I was about to tell you, Lowe's right now is the second best SAM team. They play second in the last Brazilian tournament. Nice. Chamaco, thank you, buddy. But still, like, I think it's so close, right? In SAM, and it's like, who grows the most, right? It could be Lotus. It could be other teams, and obviously, like, if they came in second, it's like, all right, what else is out there for Sam? So I'm just excited to see whoever we get from Sam. Like, I'm not saying that necessarily they're 4th best now. They were 4th best, back then and on paper. But it's just exciting to see Sam have very competitive teams so early on when they're going to the RLCS, which is pretty neat. All right. Replacing Wonder with who to make them a championship team? I don't know for sure. It depends on like who is making some good performances coming up in this season. But I think just a better mechanical player. Like even like look at the Peeps. I feel like all three of those players mechanically might be better than Wonder. Like Wonder's a very smart player, but I don't know. He has shown mechanics at times. It's just not consistent. That's all I think. Let's see. What do you think was the most dominating performance in a series by a team this weekend? And most dominating performance by a player? Definitely probably G2 versus like a Vitality would probably be up there. Where like it was close, but you know, that is Vitality. I'd probably give that or probably like Energy versus GC Aura, where they just came out as like, we don't care about this underdog story. We're just gonna smack them around. So that's probably the most dominating. Probably most dominating performance by a player. I don't know. Rizzo had a really good series versus Vitality. Astral had his moments. Gyro's just Game 5 versus Mouse Sports will go down as one of the best performances in a Game 5 ever. So things like that. Probably Gyro versus Mouse, I guess. Do you think Rogue should look for a replacement? Well, you can't look for a replacement right now. The roster lock has already happened for RLCS, so everyone is locked in to their team. So we'll see what happens after the season. And again, like Wonder can show it. Like I don't think it's over for Wonder. Like I think it comes down to the season. Like I feel like him and probably Remco on TSM are the two guys that like if a team fails and doesn't make the World Championship, I could see those two guys going first. But we'll see. What do I think of Renan? He played better than our RCS. Absolutely. Like that was my one negative was Renan at the World Championship, where it's like there's like 2 or 3 wide open nets he just kind of missed. And it could just be that pressure, right? You know, it's your first World Championship. But he looked a lot better for the games I saw him. And I love like just seeing him, you know, like hit those shots, like hit the shot location. It's exactly what you want to see, right? Because, like, the one thing that happens is we were talking about it with Loki or whatever, where, like, oh, Renan's more of, like, a support player. He's there to clean up compared to the other two. But if you don't clean up those shots, wide open nets, and it's like, all right, that support player, there's literally no reason why you're on the team anymore, right? So, like, I could see why they would give him the kick, but he looked a lot better here. So, when are we going to stop saying, don't take G2 to Game 5, Game 7? I think we're at that point. Like, even going into the World Championship this season or this year, like, it's more of a meme than anything now. But at this point, yeah, they haven't been clutching it as much. But to be fair, they beat Energy in 7, and then they lost to the Peeps. So it's not like it's over, I guess, because they also beat the Peeps in 5. They still have a good record in Game 5s. But, yeah, it's not as dominant anymore. But it's more of like a meme than anything. Why do you think Rizzo catches a lot of smack talk about not being good? I don't think that's the case really anymore. Like, at least for me, where like I used to be extremely critical of him back in like season 5. I felt like he wasn't really up to snuff, and I thought after season 5, or was it season 5? Or, I'm sorry, season 6? Yeah, then season 6, like I thought he did exceptionally well. And when we were talking about who to kick from G2 if you were going to pick up a player like Chicago, he would have been my last one to kick. But then season 7, like it wasn't about his skill, it was just about how G2 was playing together. It was like he's being way too passive while the other guys maybe being too aggressive. But it seems like they worked on that, and he played really well throughout. Like I haven't had like any issues with Rizzo for a decent amount of time now. It's like mechanically, I think he might be third best on the team, but it's not like the end of the world for what they do. But I don't know. Let's see. What else we got here? What I think about GCR players and their new team. Well, they're not a team for the rival series, so that's why it's kind of interesting. Aslan's on a different team, and they have iGnite instead. So we'll see how they do. But they're one of those teams, like, I wouldn't say they're like huge favorites or anything. Like, they did look good here, but Europe is always a very difficult one to even get out of play-in sometimes. So we'll see how they do. You expect them to make rival series, but you just never know. What do you think G2 needs to do to win a grand finals? Is it a mentality-based thing or mechanical issue for them? It seemed like they got a little bit of nerves here, a bit. But like, every time you go to a grand finals and you lose, like, you definitely learn from it, right? I wouldn't put the energy curse on them yet. But I don't know. Like, I think they're looking pretty strong. They just have to find a way to win at the end. Like, I think Vitality was the better team at the World Championship, so I'm not really putting that by G2 all that much. And like, the hard part is the way they play, it's so risk heavy where it's so much offense that you have to be on point at all times. And when you get to the final stage, the grand finals, nerves are going to play a factor. And if any part messes up, I feel like the way G2 plays, it could be a huge problem. So I think this mentality, they just have to get a little bit stronger and just have to play their game and not, make those small mistakes, and then they'll probably be best team in the world, honestly. But it's close, right? Like, it's super close with everyone. I think right now, though, G2, like, I'd put G2 probably as my favorites in NA to win the World Championship, with Energy a close second, and we'll see how they do with Turbo coming over. But I'm really liking this G2, and I've always been a doubter of G2. And that isn't just for the memes. Like, I just never thought G2 was, like, that team. But right now, I'm really liking what I see out of G2. Thoughts on Les, Coach, and Mouse? Like, I always want to see all, like, really solid players on the field. Lethamir coaching, though, is awesome. Excited to see what Mouse does. That can't hurt them. That's for sure. So, it should be fun to watch him do that. But like, it's kind of like whenever there's a really talented player that subs, I also hate that because I just want to see all the best players on the field. But Lethamir, like, you could argue, would not be like an RLCS level player. Like, I would still have him up there, but you could argue he's on the border. So, I don't know. We'll see how he does. If he's happy, I'm happy, right? So, let's see. I think TSM has a lot of potential. Like, I do too. Like, I think on paper they're great. I think they need Metsnorris to move up the field, though. He has to be an offensive player more than defense first. Let Remco be that defensive first player, and I think they'll be better off. But TSM has been the same team for so long, or any team with Remco has been the same team for so long, where it's defense first. We shoot like garbage. We shoot like 20% every season, but we win on our defense. And I feel like that's not consistent enough. You can't win on defense alone. You need offense because anytime a game is close in Rocket League, you need to be able to shut them down. Like with Vitality, I think Greg was saying, like, we don't want to win 1-0. We want to win 3-0 or 4-0. It's like you need to score more goals. So I'm a little worried because if your defense fails, makes one mistake in a game, you're tied 1-1, and now you have to score a second goal. And some teams, it seems like it's a difficult task, and that seems like a difficult task for TSM. They obviously have Alpha who can do it, but you can't only rely on Alpha. Best run in Rocket League ever, IBP, Peeps, or Muffin Men? Muffin Men wasn't that surprising. I actually called them making it to the grand finals of that Dreamhack. It's like everyone knew that they were extremely good. IBP... Man, so it's hard because there was only 8 teams there, so it's a little bit different. It's hard, man. I would probably say IBP. Just because, like, they're bringing in a sub, they had a bad season to end it. Like, obviously, less teams involved, but I don't know, man. Because I feel like no one thought they were going to do anything at the World Championship. I get, like, probably Peeps, like, obviously the odds were way against them, more so. But just because of bringing in a sub and all of that stuff, and also because they didn't even make playoffs in the second split, it's very, very close between the two, for sure. How do you think Johnny went as a commentator? I think he's better as an analyst. I couldn't hear the casters all that well throughout the entire weekend. By where we were, it was near impossible to hear them. So that's the only problem with Dreamhack sometimes is we can't like continue storylines that the casters were bringing up back to the desk because we just can't hear them. So I assume he did extremely well. Like Johnny always does a really good job. So I don't know. What do you think C9 needs to do to compete for the number 1 spot in NA? Like, honestly, like that's my one big question mark. I don't know. I just don't know. Like, I feel like Gimmick was relatively quiet for this tournament. Squishy really performed well. Like, if Gimmick is popping off and Squishy pop off, I don't think they really have to change much. It's just riding. It's just about riding that hot hand, right? But I think C9, they just underperformed a little bit here. But I think they'll be all right. He did yell Soniqs, please. I did see that. That was funny. I like that. What do you think about my performance as a viewer? Professor Bum, you did fantastic. I didn't watch Twitch chat, but the crowd was really good. And that was probably the most interesting thing was the finals it was not a G2 crowd for maybe the first time ever. So that was kind of nuts. Or G2 at E-League as well. G2 at E-League wasn't as surprising because, sure, it was surprising. Like, it was one big upset, but they were supposed to make it out of their group. And then it's just win 2 best-of-7s, right? So it wasn't as surprising there. But I think that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed Dreamhack Montreal. And yeah, that's it for Dreamhacks for this year. We'll see what happens next year. Like, I know nothing, so I don't know. But obviously, I hope we do more Dreamhacks, because why not? 4 is not enough. Let's do 12. 12 Dreamhacks. But it was a blast. I had so much fun with Dread and Turtle. They did a great job, both of them. Turtle's been killing it on the desk, and Dread just getting better and better every single event. Just getting more comfortable to like say his piece, which is always fun. And we always have a lot of laughs up there on the desk when we're not on air. Maybe too many laughs when we're not on air. But hopefully mics are never hot. But yeah, it was a great event. Like I love seeing James, Chief, Shogun, and Johnny as well. I don't get to really work with them at DreamHacks, but it's a lot of fun to just hang with them. But yeah, DreamHack Japan. Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's do it. But yeah, that'll do it for the video. Say bye to YouTubes. Goodbye.